So this is an older Mac Mini, and apparently it's not useful as a Mac Mini anymore. And I was just trying to see what it could be useful for, so I'm thinking I could turn it into like a Linux computer, but here's my usual Linux computer at my parents' here. Um, and that was one of those dual Athlon, or no, dual, yeah, I guess dual Athlon 64, 2.9 gigs or something. And that's okay. It has trouble playing back YouTube. Actually, I think I had some trouble with 60 frames per second stuff. Anyway, so what happened is last time I was here, I like nuked the drive and I installed Linux. I was just afraid if I left the drive totally empty that like it would never turn back on again. And I don't think it actually works that way. I think it has some sort of fundamental firmware in it, or that would start it up so you could get something on it. But let's just turn it on here and see what happens. Yeah, so some of these keys are a little bit different than like the Windows keys. So it's hard to know like how to do certain things like switch the console to and back and forth between text and graphics and stuff like that when you're using one of these computers. But the install was actually pretty normal. I guess it's probably designed to be installable on one of these. I think it's UEFI boot systems. But it was honestly just about as easy to install as Fedora on a PC. The only real difference was that I had to let it do partitioning because it did some weird partitioning scheme that I don't really understand. It had something to do with certain things being HFS. And yeah, other than that, so far it's been pretty much the same. But I haven't seen what the actual performance is like. I have to actually forgot to hook in the network controller. Sorry, I forgot to hook in the network cable, so I'm gonna have to do that. Yeah, so my plans were all messed up today because apparently you can't have this HDMI converter thing and a network cable installed simultaneously. So now I was trying to get the wireless thing working, but it looks like it's really going to be complicated getting the wireless thing working. So I have to take this home and maybe use a different computer or just not do it at all. So what I do here is I find a bunch of RPMs I need to add on. I download them, downloading them only, not installing them, copying them to a folder, then installing them manually, and burning that all to a DVD. Then that DVD becomes pretty much all the things that I want in this particular Linux. Right, this is what I'm doing. So in a way, it makes it very easy because all I have to do is go back to all these files and just reinstall them all. And I'm hoping that when I reinstall enough of it, it's not going to go trying to find the things I need to do it and download it and just make the kernel module I need for the wireless. But I doubt somebody tells me that's not going to work. It's going to be probably the wrong kernel version anyway. But I might be able to get that happening. Okay, well, it looks like it's not a cooperative situation. I was hoping the proprietary driver for the wireless, which will allow me to use the network and see how the network works, isn't compiling because apparently something's changed. Things change in the computer, and it's complaining that certain members of certain data doesn't exist and whatnot. So that isn't going to help. So I can find a modified version of this driver, so it's going to be kind of hard to find, or I can go home and use like a different little wireless USB dongle, or I could hook it into my network at my house with a physical connection and use an HDMI cable, proper HDMI cable to an HDMI monitor. Yeah, so those are real options right now. So I wasn't really expecting this to work, but what happened was I found somebody who was making little patches to the source code, and it's true that like little tiny changes to the original source code for new kernels would make it work. But anyway, you have to recompile it with some patches, and then you have to blacklist some other kernel modules. But yeah, so now it's running off of wireless because I couldn't fit the cable in using this little adapter thing, and it's really quite responsive. So this is like really quite a really quite good implementation for this old thing here. Let's see. It's quite responsive actually.
something that you
Where is
learned
it?
from someone. I think that's really powerful. Simple but powerful. Something that's coming up on my channel is something to do with my love life.
Yeah,
I
so there's
love
nothing Mac
something
about
about
this.
the
This is all
holidays,
Fedora
but
Core 30 on a Mac Mini.
probably the
It's a really nice
most
kind of.
feeling I've been
The other thing is,
in
I
a
wasn't expecting sound,
long time.
but it's like the sound is coming out of the computer, and I have my own way of getting
The
sound
next
out
generation
usually,
of
and it's like the
elders
sound's
in
coming
this
out of the
community is
computer,
going to be even
so
more
it's really
powerful.
weird.
People sharing their stories and,
But yeah,
storytelling out
I'd say
is
that's my Cappy home. That's like my usual little
what's going to
setup-aroo,
be out
and
every day,
it's a Mac
which
Mini instead
I
of
think is so
a
commendable. Like, it's
anything
not
else.
easy to